All right, let's dive straight into this explainer. We're going to completely deconstruct the brilliantly unusual engine behind one of the most successful retailers on the planet. I mean, if you've ever set foot in a Costco, you know it's a totally unique vibe, right? But the actual magic, it's not the giant pallets of paper towels or those famous food court hot dogs. Nope, it's actually hidden deep in the financial machinery of their business model.
Think about it like this. Costco could easily charge more for the stuff on its shelves, just like literally every other store does. But instead, they charge you a toll just to walk in the door. You're basically paying twice, once to get in, and then again to actually shop. On paper, that sounds like an absolutely terrible way to attract customers. Yet somehow, it's a wildly profitable strategy.
Get this. For fiscal year 2025, those membership fees made up only about 2% of Costco's total revenue. Just 2%. But hey, do not let that tiny slice fool you, because that 2% is the absolute structural core of their entire business. Why? Because unlike selling, say, a flat-screen TV or a giant tub of mayo, membership fee revenue has zero merchandise cost attached to it. They don't have to buy a single thing to earn that cash. It's a completely different kind of revenue, and it lets them do something totally counterintuitive with their store shelves.
Moving on to Section 1, less is actually more, focusing on the supply-side gear. Let's look at how their incredibly restricted inventory builds the entire foundation for their pricing.
So Costco deliberately operates with a highly curated inventory. They limit their core active items to under 4,000 stock-keeping units, or SKUs. To put that into perspective, your typical broadline retailer or supermarket, they're usually carrying tens of thousands of items. By heavily restricting your choices to just the fast-selling models, sizes, and colors, Costco massively concentrates its purchasing power. They buy completely unimaginable quantities of a very, very small number of items.
And their own 2025 annual filing basically spells out the secret. This intensely narrow selection gives them the real leverage they need to buy massive quantities of each item way, way cheaper than the competition. They're not just magically getting better deals, they're literally forcing supplier prices down through sheer concentrated volume. That brings us to Section 2, the razor-thin margin, looking at the pricing gear. So we know how they get the goods so cheaply, right? But what do they actually do with all those savings?
Well, they give them almost entirely right back to you. Costco operates with a shockingly thin merchandise gross margin of just 11.12% for fiscal year 2025. In plain English, that means for every $100 of goods they sell, they only keep about $11 to run the warehouse, pay their staff, and keep the lights on. That is a deliberately tiny cut compared to your standard retail markups.
They're actively sacrificing short-term retail markups to maintain a strategy they call pricing authority. They want to make absolutely sure they are consistently providing the most competitive values anywhere. The goal here isn't to maximize the price of a specific item today. The goal is to make sure you never even feel the need to comparison shop. Let's check out Section 3, the business mechanism loop. How do all these highly unusual gears, the membership fee, the limited selection, the razor-thin margins, how do they actually lock together? It creates this totally unstoppable cycle. First, the member pays their annual fee for access. Then they shop that curated high-volume selection. And because Costco bought it all in bulk and barely marked it up, the member saves a ton of money. Ultimately, because they save so much money, they inevitably renew, and the cycle kicks off all over again for the next year.
Up next, Section 4, the subscription retailer, focusing on the loyalty gear. To truly wrap your head around this model, we've kind of got to stop thinking of Costco as a traditional store and start viewing it as a high-retention subscription service. You aren't just a customer here, you are a subscriber.
Just look at the numbers. In the US and Canada, Costco boasts a staggering 92.3% member renewal rate for 2025. Roughly 9 out of 10 people are willingly paying that fee again every single year. That is an elite retention metric, and it completely proves that their everyday low pricing reliably brings members back through the doors.
And this perfectly illustrates the ultimate loyalty loop. Costco has this executive membership tier, right? You pay double the basic fee, but you get a 2% cashback reward. Now, these executive members make up less than half of total paid members, but get this, they drive a massive 73.6% of worldwide net sales. It's incredible. The reward program pulls in outsized spending, which locks their most loyal subscribers even deeper into their ecosystem.
On to Section 5, the one big risk. Because, as with any finely tuned engine, there is always a vulnerability. And Costco's relies entirely on a single point of failure.
Since the membership format is so completely integral to their profitability, their absolute biggest risk is losing member trust. If Costco's prices ever stop feeling meaningfully lower than their competitors, or if the quality takes a hit, that vital 92+% renewal rate is going to drop. And if renewals drop, that recurring fee revenue breaks, which is the very thing sustaining the entire company. It's a really delicate balance of constant perceived value.
So the ultimate takeaway you should have from this explainer is that Costco isn't just selling you cheap products. They are selling you access to a hyper-efficient system. It's a system powered by concentrated volume buying, fiercely restricted choices, and heavily protected recurring loyalty.
Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder the next time you're pushing one of those massive, oversized shopping carts through their concrete aisles. If a subscription-first retail model saves you this much money by just stripping out the standard retail markups, how does this reshape what you should actually expect from the wider retail industry? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning how the businesses around you actually work.